Today's session is Take Off with Tabular Editor. My name is Sue Bays. I'm an independent Power BI developer. I have my own business. I run Devon and Cornwall Power BI Meetup Group, which meets every Tuesday at 6. I'm a running addict, yoga, swimming, all sorts of things. So in order to fit everything into my life, I'm really, really time conscious. Bang, 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 time. Which, when I first heard about Tabular Editor about 3 years ago, I was very excited. Just for me, quick show in hands, who's used Tabular Editor before? Oh, good. Tabular Editor 2, Tabular Editor 3? 2, 3, okay. So what I said I would do for Daniel, who wrote it, is that I would do this session on Tabular Editor 2 because it's a community conference and he's very passionate about developing Tabular Editor 2 so that it's free for the community. So it is going to be all 2, but they're doing 3 tomorrow and I'm quite happy to answer any questions. So please bear with me, but I'm going to do a bit of cool things in 2 because I hadn't used 2 for ages, so I had to go back and relearn it so I could show you. So basically, what is it? It's a free tool that you can download from the internet. And all of my slides, I will give you my GitHub repository. My PowerPoint will be in there, and within the PowerPoint are the links to everything that I refer to. So don't worry about capturing anything that I've got here. You'll have access to the slides and the links. So it's in GitHub. You download it here. You download it onto your machine. It's completely free. And it basically attaches to your Power BI report and it allows you to code within Power BI as an external report tool. Why would you use it? I'm going to show you because it speeds up your development. But there are a couple of limitations in that you can't create tables or edit tables within Tabular Editor 2 without using the unsupported mode. This is what I'm going to go through in the next 15 minutes or so, show you how to edit the model, how to create and rename objects, creating measures, object dependencies, search boxes, best practice, advanced scripting, etc. So straight over to the demo. I'm going to be using this Power BI report. It's a basic Garmin report that I use. It's a simple star schema. So we've got a date table, we've got 3 fact tables, your basic star schema. On here, I have Tabular Editor that I've downloaded from the internet, and it just basically sits on top of my machine. So the bit that we want is we want to be able to open Tabular Editor and open then our Power BI desktop, which we're going to be using, which is on our actual local machine. The key difference between 2 and 3 is 2 allows you to see the metadata, whereas 3 you can generally just see the data and the metadata. But I've got a few little sneaky workarounds to show you how to see the data within Tabular Editor 2. So what we're going to do is we've opened it. I'm going to open now and attach my model. So it's a bit difficult to zoom in and see, but you can see I'm going to attach to my local host here and pull in my report. Once I open my report, it changes slightly, and you can see I've got my tabular object model here. So within my model, I've got the relationships, I've got the tables, and I've got all of the metadata which basically surrounds the data within our Power BI report. We have our relationships, so you can see them here, and we've got our tables, which you can see here. So we've got our 1 date table and our 3 fact tables. Once we have our fact tables, one of the key things that we want to do is we generally want to create a measure. So to create a measure in Tabular Editor, you right-click on here, create new. So I'm going to right-click, create new measure. So I don't know about you, but one of the first things that I do when I create a measure, or one of the first things that I actually start to do, is it's usually count rows. Because within Power BI, we're always aggregating, filtering, summing up, and it's useful to know. So one of the first measures I do is count activities. So that's just hashtag activities. Little tip. When you enter the name, you have to press return to enter it. So that's our measure there. And in here, you'll see we've got two tabs. We've got the expression editor, where we write our DAX here. And then we've got our C# scripting, where we're going to start creating some macros and creating some measures. So within the expression editor, I'm going to do some count rows. And I'm just going to pull in my table, click at the end, and then do my tab. So you can see in here, this is my measure. What you can do is you can then, once you've entered it, I can tick it, you can format it, because as we know, if it's not formatted, it's not DAX, and it will put it in the correct format for me. And if it was a more complicated measure, it would do all of the tabbing, etc. Every single object within Tabular Editor has a properties pane that you can click on. So we can click on here and we can see these are the properties that apply to that particular measure. So I'm not going to do anything yet with that. And on here, you can see it's got this little blue question mark. The blue question mark is there because it hasn't been deployed to our model yet. And this is one of the great things about Tabular Editor. You can continuously iterate over, create your measures, and then push them straight back to your reports. You're not waiting all the time for it to happen. So we've got an activities. I might want another measure. So in here, we've got all sorts of different activities. I might want to know how far I've run. So on here, I'm going to create another measure. And I'm going to call this measure distance. Press enter. Sum. And I pull in my distance. I know it's a bit difficult to keep flipping between the two. So what I'll try and do is when I've finished it, zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So you can see there I've got my sum distance in miles. So I'm going to enter that. And you can see we've got these two measures here with the little blue ticks. You can click on both of them. So to send them to, if I just show you quickly, this is in my table summarized activities. If you look at my summarized activities here, you can see no measures. So when I go back to Tabular Editor and I press save, the two ticks go, it comes up with a little measure icon. When we go back here, you can see there my measure has turned up. So it's really, really quick and fast at putting measures in for you. So if we go back, sometimes it's actually quite helpful to have to create a folder to put our measures in. So you have to click in the folder to create a new display folder. So I'm just going to call this underscore measures and put my two measures in there. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure they're both formatted. So I can highlight, we can batch format. So I've highlighted both measures, and down here, there's a little thing called format string. So on format string, and over at the end, there's a little drop-down box where you can actually specify what type of format you want. So let me just go over. Can't see it now. Oh, here, format. So I can format it as a whole number. And you can see it formats both of those. So you can highlight many, many measures and then format them. You can also just delete things quite easily. So on here, I can just delete the activities, press delete, and it goes. And you can use Control-Z as well to go back and forth. So this is how we can create measures easily, format as batch, and send them back to the report. But I don't want to do that because every single time I open a table, generally, or a new report, I want a macro to create a measure for me. I don't want to have to be typing this out all of the time. So this is where we start looking at our C# script. So within, and I have a whole page that will show you some of the C# scripts that you can create, and it's really easy to copy and paste them. So on here, let me show you how it works. You can see I've got my particular columns and my metadata here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on each of my three tables. So you can see there my three tables. I'm going to go into my C# script, and I'm going to click on this, and in samples you can see these are some macros that I've already created. If I had more time I'd show you how to do it, but I'll give you the URLs that you can see how to do it, and it's quite easy. So I've got a macro called count rows. So if I just do my drop down, macros, count rows. I'll just spend a tiny little bit of time. I'm not a C# programmer. I work my way through program. It's going to loop through each table in selected.tables, and then it's going to create a new measure, and it's using the model metadata to create a measure. I'm calling it rows in table.name. I'm doing a count row, so I'm using concatenation to build my DAX, and then I've got my format string, and then I've got my new measure description. The brilliant thing is, once I've done this, it sits in Tabular Editor 2, it's stored on your C drive, and any model that you open, it's there. So you press play or run, and you can see, here it is, rows and summarized activities. So we press save, just very quickly show you, go back to my table, close it, open it again. You can see rows and summarized activities. This will be rows in sleep. So you can imagine you can do that all the time for every single model that you've got. But we can do better than that. So we've done rows in summarized. We've got our sum measure here. Time intelligence is something that we're always doing all the time. We want to compare. We want to have some thought as to, are we doing better or worse than last year? What's the context? So we can have in here time intelligence. And if we look at time intelligence, this is the C# code. This is online, so you can just copy it and use it. So it's going to create a selected measure, all of these selected measures, and it's going to build the time intelligence because it's a pattern, it's a repeating pattern. So you press play. In here, these are now all of my time intelligence measures. So press save, sends it back to my report. So I've got my time intelligence that I can apply to anything that I want. Sometimes it's quite handy to understand what's dependent upon what if you're debugging. So you can click on, if I click on year over year as a percentage, and I click on show dependencies, right click, so it's all there, click on show dependencies. Here we go. It shows you what objects depend upon year-on-year percentage, and also which objects year-on-year percentage depends upon. And you can use this dependencies for anything within the with the report. So let me just show you. So you can see what each measure is referred to, what it's applying to, and so it gives you some help when you're trying to understand if you want to delete things. So. And I'll just breathe for 1 second. We've gone through a little bit of DAX. We've gone through a little bit of C#. I've shown you how to push back. Now what I want to do, so cool, I learned how to do this. Because in Tabular Editor 3, it's got a really nice user interface to do lots of filtering, which I find quite helpful. But what you can do in Tabular Editor 2, you see it's got this button here, this search button at the top. What you can do is if, say we look here, if I look at my sleep table, because it's quite a nice one to show, you can see I've got lots of columns for sleeping or seconds. So you can filter this button up here and you can press sleep. So if I press that and then filter, it filters there. So that's really helpful when you're trying to actually drill down what measures, etc. you've got in your table. So what we can do is, and if you're curious about Tabular Editor 3, go and chat to the guys at the desk because they're so helpful. I had an hour of their time last year where they showed me how to use a DAX debugger. They've not got rid of me since. Hence the t-shirt, I email them, I chat to them, LinkedIn, whatever, any questions I've got, but they're really, really helpful. So a little bit of regex going on in the filtering button. So we're saying object type. What I want you to show me is the object type, which is a column where the name is date. So, 5 minutes. Okay, so thank you, John. So when I click on that and then filter, it shows me all the date tables. So what I can do with the date tables, because I don't know about you, but it really, really irritates me that all of the dates come in and they're long. You know, how many times do you have to go through all of your dates and then format them to short date? So you can use this to filter, find all of your date columns, then go into your, go in here, look at your samples, and I've got a little bit of code that makes every single date measure that I select short date, push it back. I don't have to format all the time. Really quite nice. So we've done that. I'm running out of time. So just what I want to also show you, as I said at the beginning, is quite difficult with Tabular Editor 3. You can see the data, and I like seeing the data. I like to understand what I'm doing, counting the rows, summarizing it, filtering it. For me, just get rid of this. It helps me understand what's going on when I'm creating models and to validate. And so I just thought, well, I can't see it in Tabular Editor 2. So he said, yes, you can, Sue. So if you click, so exactly what I mean, go and chat to them, because once they know you, he's showing me this little bit of DAX code. So var table name on here, you have to be quite impressed with this. Var table name. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting the table, I'm then evaluating DAX on the table in C# script to show me the output of the data in this output pane. If I can do top-end DAX, I can do all sorts of things. So the world is your oyster. So I was really quite excited about that. The other thing that I want to show you, and this is the last thing, is Best Practice Analyzer. I don't know if any of you have used Best Practice Analyzer, but if you look in Tools, you can manage your Best Practice Analyzers. And I've got the link for this. You basically find the URL, and I've got the link to the URL. It's designed by Microsoft. You put it into your machine, and you know they talk to us and they tell us you should do this, and you should do that, and you should do the other. Well, what it actually does is it shows you the best practice issues with your machine, with your Power BI model. So let me open it for you. And they help you fix it, if they can. So it comes up and it gives a list of all the things that could be wrong with your model in severity ordering. So on here, it might be formatting, should be formatted with 1,000 separators and things like that, which I agree. For most of it, it should. So if I go through then and I select the ones, up here, it's got a little screwdriver. If it can automatically fix it for you and apply the fix, it'll do it. And you can see I'm now down to 127. So it's going through my whole table and it's actually looking and saying, right, okay, what's the issues? What are the severity issues? Which ones can you fix? This one. Do not summarize numeric columns. That really annoys me when it does that. So I can highlight all of them, click, tick. And I'm a tick box person. I like the numbers going down. I like to measure it. So I look at my report and I can see the measures going down. So I'm getting towards the end. What I've shown you today, because we'll have 2 minutes for questions, is I've shown you how to edit a tabular object model, how to edit and rename your objects, how to create measures, how to batch create measures, how measures relate to each other, how to do searching, how to do really cool searching, how to use BPA, and how to use DAX within C# within tabular object modeling, or within 20 minutes. Any questions? You can tell I practice this a lot. So let me just show you. Last bit. On here, this is my Excel spreadsheet where I've gone through every minute of the presentation to make sure it hits 20 minutes. And I'm going to breathe. So, stop. Any questions? Stunned silence? Oh, and yes, go for it. Have we got someone got a microphone? Or are you going to shout?
I can shout.
You shout.
What was the evaluated table section? Can you show again, please?
Oh, you want to see the measure? Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, yeah, I'll repeat the question. I'm just going to show it, but please can you give some feedback? That's my feedback thing, because if there is things that I can do better, please tell me, because it's the only way that we can improve, and I'm not precious at all. Also there is my GitHub. So on GitHub, you will see everything that I've got, all the resources that are on there. So once everyone's got that, I'll go back to the question. So the question, 1 minute. So the question was, how did I embed the DAX within, let me just pull it up very, very quickly. Here. So var table name, selected.table name. So it's picking whatever I've selected. And then what I'm doing is evaluate DAX, top N, and then 20. And it's exactly the same as doing a sum, but I'm using the evaluate. But I've put a link into the PowerPoint to, and I can't remember his name, but he's Microsoft, Michael. He does lots and lots of stuff about DAX. Let me see if I can find it for you. And he's basically, there's a whole page in there in the PowerPoint that you can look at where he's got loads and loads of examples. That's it. Yeah, thank you. So if you find his page, and I'll show it in a minute, but I mean, how cool is that, DAX in C#? It's quite cool. It's not bad for... Elegant BI, perfect, thank you. Find Elegant BI, and he's got so many resources that are absolutely brilliant. And all of these resources that are in there, if you do a bit of DAX and you do a bit of M and everything, you can use them. Okay, time, and I'm done. Thank you. Thank you.